Welcome back to the Pro Series Podcast, and this is episode 160. Today's guest is Nick Frazetta. This is another in-person podcast, so if you're listening to this, go head over to Spotify or YouTube and watch it. It's a great episode. It's with Nick Frazetta. He is the co-host of the Discipline to Win podcast and also an owner of multiple 7 to 8 figure financial service companies. So we talk about a lot about finance and his start in the business and some other topics about being young in the industry and stuff like that. So if you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, and review this podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. And now I hope you enjoy episode 160 with Nick Frazetta.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nick, thank you so much for joining me on the Pro Series Podcast. Excited to talk to you. I've seen you on social media so much, you and your podcast and your co-host, which we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to give you a shout out. And then also, can you give us a little bit of information about what you do before we get into your backstory?
Totally. And I appreciate you having me on, Eric. This is awesome. So yeah, we own a wealth management firm. That's our main business. And then we also own a couple other businesses. We have an insurance agency, a tax prep firm, and then we also own a property management company as well. But wealth management is our like bread and butter. That's our primary business that we operate. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot.
May I ask how old you are?
I'm 25.
Dang.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Well, we'll get into when this started, but let's start from high school or maybe even when you're a teenager. When did it start that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I don't even know if I had the aspiration to be an entrepreneur that early on in life.
Okay.
I did know that I wanted to manage money. Like I wanted to be a financial advisor in some capacity. My next door neighbor, their son was a financial advisor, and we were very close. They were almost like family. So I spent a lot of time with him when I was in high school. He showed me a lot of things. I knew as I was approaching I went to Penn State, studied economics there. I knew that was the route I wanted to go. But I didn't know how I was going to get there. And it was always kind of the back of the napkin plan that one day I was going to grow up, become a financial advisor, and buy his book of business and kind of go on from there. But yeah, things changed a lot along that journey.
I always like to ask that story because you never know. I've interviewed so many people that say that they started like a lemonade stand when they're little, and it's just since then it kind of started, or their parents were an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I mean, my dad's an entrepreneur, so he owns, he's a chiropractor. So he has an office out in Pittsburgh. My mom was a school teacher. That kind of, I think, drove me. I always wanted to go into something to serve others. They both were in industries where they served others. I saw how much like joy and excitement that brought them. So I knew I wanted to go into some field where I was actively serving others every single day. I was always interested in finance. That was kind of the route that I wanted to go, and I knew I wanted to go. But yeah, from a young age, it was nothing specific that I started. Like I didn't have any businesses. I worked a lot of like landscaping type jobs, worked at Home Depot. Like I worked jobs like that where it's really just like a grind. Like, and that's where I think I developed like, and my parents instilled this in me from a very young age. Like you really have to work for what you want in life. And I think doing those jobs, I mean, working minimum wage, like where I was, that taught me the value of like what money is, that it's not like, can't just be handed to you. Like you don't get everything you want in life. Like you have to work for it and you have to sacrifice a lot to get to that point. So that kind of, I think, framed me from like a work ethic standpoint at a young age for sure.
Okay. And then when you went into college, you went for, what did you say you went
Economics.
for? Economics. Okay.
Yeah.
And throughout college, summers working and everything.
Yep.
Was there a turning point there that you're like, hey, I don't think I want to work for someone. I want to work for myself?
So no, that didn't happen for me until after college.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 22?
22, graduated. It was post-COVID. So job market was a little bit shaky at that point. I had a lot of friends that the route that you would go, I guess, in the programs that we were in was you'd graduate, you'd go work on Wall Street. Well, I didn't have like the grades, nor there's a lot of interconnections that I think need to get there early, or you just need to be super smart. And I I wasn't there. So I took a job back in Pittsburgh. I was working for a large bank on the route to become a financial advisor, but it was going to take a lot of time. Probably about 3 months into that was then where I realized, okay, I'm not doing enough. Like, I'm not a 9-to-5er. Like, I need to be working more. I was coming home from work, whether it be everything from Amazon FBA to like cryptocurrency, whatever it was. Like, I was trying to find other ways that I could learn, make money, possibly start a business on the side. And was just trying to navigate that. And ultimately that led me to the opportunity at YTS Wealth Management. So the story really starts was I was at the barber shop and I was talking to my barber and I said, you know what, I'm not happy about where I am right now. I want to do an internal transfer. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to work in New York. I'm going to try the Wall Street route. And as I was speaking, not even my barber, but the barber across the shop who I did not know, he said, oh, you're a financial advisor? And I said, yes. And he said, one of my clients is looking for a service advisor, which in our industry, that's just somebody who does like the administrative tasks of a financial advisor. And he's like, he's really looking for someone. They're growing really fast and they're hiring more people. Like, you should talk to him. I was like, definitely. So that's my business partner, Nick Frazetta. So at the time I got dinner with him. We hit it off and he literally hired me as a employee. He's making $45,000 a year base salary, like with really like, and I was just like eager. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, I just went from like a really, really large bank to this company that has 5 employees, but like they really want to grow. So that's kind of how like I got in. And then I think something that a lot of people think like you need to be the one to start the business. I did not do that. I'll tell everybody that. I was an intrapreneur before I became an entrepreneur. I was purely an employee of a business. But I worked hard and added value and got to the point where I was given the opportunity to buy in to the business that I'm now a part of. And then he was partners with another individual who we just recently also bought out. So now it's him and I. But yeah, that's kind of how that started.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had anybody on like that. But I mean, I don't think I've ever. So usually a guest, the biggest thing I have in common with most of my guests are they work in the corporate world or they work in a job they went to school for and they grind it out 9 to 5 and hate their life. That one day, that hitting point, that's why I asked that question. They turned and opened up their career or opened up their new passion project. And that's what they're doing now. And that's what most of them have in common. So it's interesting that you kind of bought into your passion in a different way than everybody else.
Totally.
It's a really cool story.
Yeah. It was not one that I would have imagined at all. I always thought that like I was going to be like eventually whatever, buy that book of business or be the guy to take something over. But yeah, I met a good dude. We saw really eye to eye. And the biggest thing was from the beginning, even though I was just an employee and literally like the other 4 individuals, there was nothing different from me. But I took a true, strong passion to like what he was trying to build and like what it could become. And I mean, that's when we were really, really working and grinding, long days and long weeks, and just putting the time in. And that's kind of, I think what showed him like, hey, he was like, I need somebody else to go on this journey with me. And that's kind of how the opportunity came about.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So now you're kind of traveling everywhere.
Yeah.
Or you're from Pittsburgh, but you're living somewhere else now?
Yes. So from Pittsburgh, I live in Arlington, Virginia. So we did a large acquisition about a year ago in the Virginia, Maryland area. So I moved down from Pittsburgh to kind of get that operation up and off the ground. That started with 2 people. I think we have 10 people down there now. And yeah, we're rapidly growing. I think when I came on, we were managing about $200 million. Now we manage well over $1 billion of assets. We have 45 employees. So yeah, we've really like ramped up the growth, and we really think we're just starting. We have a lot of things on the horizon that we're working on. So
crazy.
Yeah.
Did you ever, I went through this early on in my career, and I know a lot of other people do that are young and they start in their career. They kind of feel like they're not worthy of a business or worthy of working or a client hiring them or stuff. Did you ever feel that?
The imposter syndrome. Yeah. So at the beginning you do, because when I was 22 and I literally had no money and I was not making any money, but clients are coming in with their life savings and they have millions of dollars, and I'm the one to be advising them on how to go about their life. So there was a little bit of imposter syndrome totally at the beginning. I think what counteracts that is you literally just have to put in ridiculous amounts of work to get yourself to a level of knowledge and training and experience to where you can overcome that. There's literally no substitute to just being in so many meetings and just taking every opportunity that I was given and just executing on that. That's really where you learn. I mean, you're not going to get experience if you don't actively do a lot. And that's really how I think I overcame that, was just working a lot, trying to learn as much as possible, reading, gathering knowledge from people who have done it before me. I'm a big believer in that. We've been on this earth for a good amount of time. There's been a lot of successful people that you don't have to reinvent the wheel to become successful. There's a lot of people that you could look at who have done it before you. And if you kind of follow the roadmap, you can get to that point. A lot of discipline involved, a lot of work involved. But back to your original question, there's definitely a little bit of that, I think, in anyone's life, no matter what industry you're in. There's a little bit of imposter syndrome at the beginning, but you just got to overcome that. And then you will start to feel like you belong ultimately.
Yeah. Any advice for anybody that is currently going through that? Yeah,
I would just say, to my original point, you got to put the extra work in. If the guy next to you is working 8 hours a day, you need to be working 14, 15 hours a day. If the guy next to you is reading 1 book a month, you need to be reading 3, whatever it is. You just need to be doing more than everybody else around you, more than your competition, because that's the only way that you're going to excel. I was never someone who was overly smart or had ridiculous amounts of skills, but I did know how to put my head down and work, and still do that to this day, because even being 25 in an industry like ours, we have to fight for every bit of respect. We're one of the fastest growing wealth management firms in the entire country, and definitely in Pittsburgh, and still we're going into meetings fighting for respect every single day. So that, I don't think that stops. And it's good that it doesn't stop, because it keeps a chip on your shoulder, keeps you hungry, keeps you motivated. So I would just say, just continuing to do everything you can to make yourself better every single day, in all aspects of your life, really gets you to that point. Yeah,
that's awesome advice. When it comes to one thing that I feel like a lot of successful entrepreneurs has, is a solid mindset, and also being able to work on their mindset. Is that something you've ever struggled with, or are you just very good with? How do you kind of unwind and kind of make sure you're in a positive mindset?
Yeah. So I love what we do, and I love my work. It's never for me a drag to be oh, I got to do this or I got to do that. I think when you have passion for something, it's not really a job. I never wake up any day, no matter what we have to do or what we have to accomplish, oh man, this is going to be a drag, because to me, it's the next level of the game. It's we got to accomplish this to get to the next level, and we got to get through this to get to the next level. So that's how I always think of it. But it is important, I think, to decompress sometimes, totally. Taking time for yourself. For me, I don't need a ton of time. If I just worked a 14, 15-hour day, or really long travel week or something, it might be, sometimes it's an hour. Sometimes it might be a couple hours, watch a movie, and then I'm good. Or I just spend time with family and I'm good. For some people that's different though. So I think being aware of that and what you need to be able to perform at the highest level every single day. If you're a person that needs to come home after working a long day and maybe mess around and play video games for an hour, and then you reset, okay, that's you. I was never like that type of person. Exercise is always an outlet. That's something big for me as well. I feel like I always need that in my life to stay level-headed. But yeah, you just got to figure out like what you need to continue to be able to go out and perform at a high level. And stay in that good mindset is super important.
Yeah, it's very important. I think we all know someone that's like a workaholic, and people see that you working so hard, especially in the beginning of your career, and they're like, you don't want to do this for your rest of your life. You're going to burn yourself out. But I feel like a lot of our generation knows how to, for the most part, knows how to unwind and kind of take that edge off. So we aren't working ourselves to death like maybe generations in front of us. So I think it's hugely important to understand what is that unwind activity or whatever that you need to do to get your mindset back.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I just think it's that fine line, because at the beginning it is really uncomfortable, and I don't think it ever stops being uncomfortable if you're trying to push yourself forward. Like me and my business partner always say, like every 6 months we're trying to recreate ourselves. So like I'm trying to get better in some aspect, whether it be physical fitness, my faith, job knowledge, how to be a better leader, whatever that may be. I'm trying to recreate myself usually about every 6 months, because if not, me internally, I'm like a hyperactive person. I feel static, and I don't like feeling static. So like, I would say the one thing that we have going for us is we are workaholics. We like working a lot. It's just like where we find joy, and that's where our passion is. So we're able to balance that, because it's not that work like you're going and you're working for 14 hours a job that you hate, or like physical labor. Like it's not like that for us, to where it's awesome. I mean, you get to impact people's lives in a positive way every single day. So that fuels you as well, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Make a positive impact on their life.
Yeah.
When you say every 6 months you're trying to recreate yourself, reinvent yourself, how does that process work? Because I think that's very good advice for someone, because I feel like everybody gets stuck in a schedule.
Totally.
And they keep getting that schedule, and then when they want to level up or something, they can't, because they're stuck in that comfort zone.
Yeah. And I would say it goes back to awareness. Like you have to be aware of who you are and what you're doing, and know that you're never doing the most that you could be doing. So like, for example, like if I notice that I'm training like 4 days a week, or like my training is starting to lack, or maybe it's my diet that's starting to lack. Like part of me recreating myself in that next 6 months is like, okay, like I'm strict on this diet, or like I have a personal trainer that's now training me, and we're going to be like super strict on this, because yes, have I been training? Yeah. But it's been like some of those nights you come home and you worked a lot and you're like, you know what? I don't need to go to the gym. I just worked like 14 hours today, when like really it's like, you're being lazy. Like you need to change your mindset and like get out and do it. Like, because that over and over and over again is just going to lead to better and better decisions, that I truly believe is like what shapes the future, even in little aspects like that, whether it be going to the gym or just like going to church or whatever that is in your life. Just continuing to stay disciplined in that is super, super important. Because if you let something like that go, like then you're going to start letting other things go in your life, whether it be in your business, whether it be in your family relationships, your spouse, whatever it may be. You're going to start letting other things slide, because it becomes a habit. So that's probably what I look at, is like, where am I getting a little bit lazy? Where could I like tighten up a little bit, and then just focusing on that and continuing trying to move forward.
It's good that you're looking at yourself in a way to fix it, because I feel like so many people are like, I'm doing everything right.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do that, but how do you get yourself into a mindset to think about corrective criticism to yourself? Or do you also rely on other people around you to help you out with maybe stuff you don't see?
I think it's having like strong family, strong relationships is a big part of it. Like from a business standpoint, my business partner, we're always pushing each other every single day. Like, and it's an accountability exercise, to where like, if I see him, like if he's getting lazy and like not getting to the gym, I'll be like, dude, like you need to tighten it up. Like, and he'll do the same thing to me. He'll be like, dude, you haven't like gone on a run in a week or something like that. Or like, why are you eating that? Like, and some people don't like that, because it's like, oh, well, like this is my life. Like I'm going to live, but we have a relationship, and I have a relationship with a lot of people in my life where it's like, we're trying to make ourselves better every single day. Like that's what I look for in a friend. And that's what I look for in family, is like, and from a family standpoint, it'll definitely be like on the faith side, where if like I missed church or something, my dad would be like, you need to like get to church. Like, what are you doing? Like, so I need that in my life, and I value that a lot. Like, I want people to tell me things that I could be doing better, because if they're around me, they know that I'm going to tell them like, hey, like, we're not eating that, or like, hey, we're not going to just be lazy. We're going to go get a workout in, or we're going to go like, let's, instead of listening to this music, let's pop this book on, pop this podcast on, gain some value. So that's what we're always trying to look for, I think, in relationships, specifically for me, is like, how are you bettering yourself every single day? I think that's a sign of like a strong relationship, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like, I mean, I have friend groups that I value, that they value the same things like that, entrepreneurship wise and success wise for work. But there's also the friend groups that, you know, are still partying, and, you know, they don't understand the work ethic and everything that goes along with that. And I feel like there's some people out there that don't have a strong business side of like a friendship. How can someone find that, or find a mentor? Or, I mean, I think both of us are lucky enough to have that already in our life, but there's some people out there that struggle for that. Do you have any advice for people to?
You know, what I would say is, if your network doesn't bring that to you, like people, you know, it's amazing what social media it has done today. I can't tell you the amount of guys that I follow on social media that like I look at as role models that have been successful in what I'm trying to do, or even something that like a different industry, and I see how disciplined they are, and I see how much they care about their people and how great of leaders they are. And I mean, again, I have no shame in it. Like, I'll take from if someone is successful, I will take from them. I'll be like, hey, they're doing this, maybe I should do this. Like, I have no ego in like, I got to be the person to create everything, and I need to be the answer to all things. Like, I will pull information from the people that I see are doing well and use that in my day-to-day life. So I would say, if you're lost and like you don't have anyone, there's great people on social media that are great leaders, great business people, people in faith, people that help others, like follow those people and like really take from what they're doing on a day-to-day. And I think that will kind of give you the mindset to start like reshaping what you're trying to do, maybe.
Yeah. And reach out.
Yeah.
It's crazy about, since I started this podcast, or ever since I got on social media, just reaching out to people. Yeah. How many people actually truly want to help you out and actually be there for you? It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And like, everyone, we're all in like the same boat. Like, even if someone's like super famous, or like you're just starting out, whatever it is, like at the end of the day, I'm a believer that like people want to help people. Like the majority of people are good, and like they want to help others. And like, I don't think it's, even if you shoot out a bunch of DMs and people don't respond to you, like the one might respond to you. Like, and then you might create a great relationship. Like, if I was never talking about what I was doing to my barber, like in the barber shop, I would have never like met who I met and gotten the position that I am. So like, just talking to people and being open about like what you're trying to do, like express that to the world, I think is super important.
Yeah, that's huge too, because a lot of people like to keep everything in.
Yeah.
Especially like what they're trying to say, manifest, or whatever they're trying to do for their career. And if you didn't do that, you wouldn't be where you are today.
Definitely would not. Yeah. It's truly amazing. And I think God has a lot to do with that, putting people in your life and guiding you on that path, and like trusting in that plan, I think is a really big thing. But at the same time with that, like, you have to take action if you want to make change in your life. You can't rely on opportunities to come to you. You can't rely on other people to provide you with things. At the end of the day, like, if it's your life and you want to make a change, you got to be the one to go out and spread that word and ask for the help or seek advice, whatever it may be. You have to be the one to do that. No one's going to do that for you.
Absolutely. And if you're someone that struggles with reaching out to people, I always felt like it's so easy on social media, because what's the worst thing they could do? Just not
ignore you.
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, it's no big deal.
Yeah. You don't know them anyways.
Yeah.
So what's wrong?
Exactly.
But speaking of social media, that's kind of how we connected.
Yep.
I saw when you started your podcast, I like to find other people, especially in the Pittsburgh area, that are doing podcasts and podcasts like myself. And I don't remember exactly what clip it was that kind of grabbed me, but ever since you and your co-host created your podcast, I've always wanted you guys on. So tell us a little bit about the podcast and why you developed it.
Yeah. So Discipline to Win is our podcast. So we're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, about 21 episodes in, but really our focus is a lot of what we're talking about today. So it's about being disciplined in life, being disciplined in business. It's about leadership, scaling business, all of those different things that I think we do pretty well on our side of the table, and things that we've found success in, sharing that with the world. So that's the main focus of it, is really just trying to find other young entrepreneurs like ourselves, connecting, networking, and spreading to the world of people who might need to hear a clip or might need to hear a little podcast to kind of get them, nudge them to get to the next level or to take some action. That's kind of our purpose.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the clip, because I feel like that we live our lives in clips now.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, I think TikTok created it that way, but it's crazy how many people you follow and people you like inspire to be like a friend of yours, or just motivates you just by a clip.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say, if you have a business, create a podcast, because you have numerous clips right there.
I think if you're an entrepreneur and you're not doing social media, you're missing out on a massive opportunity. And I think really just at all points in history, we talk about, there's always inflection points of like things like the internet. Like people didn't think the internet would work, or people were like, oh, no one's going to buy books online. Like all of those things, there were doubters at all periods of time. And like, I was one of the people early on, and for sure in social media, where I was like, I'll never be on there. I just won't do it. Quickly realized that it's like, you have to be on there, and you're missing out on massive opportunity if you aren't. So yeah, content has become definitely a huge part, like, of us from like a personal brand standpoint, but also from a company standpoint. Like, we're trying to be the best we possibly can be from like a marketing perspective, with content, blasting as much content out to our clients and our customers. Cause it really, it creates engagement, and like engagement in any capacity is good. Especially if you're providing like quality things and to people. It's just a positive outcome. So it's been great for us.
Yeah. And I guess it's really hard to put yourself in front of a camera, hearing yourself, looking at yourself.
Yeah.
Did you ever go through that?
A little bit. Yeah. At the beginning, it was weird. I was like, wow, do I really talk like that? Like, it was like, that's like the biggest thing, I think. But yeah, I think it's, get over that.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. You get over that. But yeah, it's been great. It's definitely been great.
And then speaking of clips and social media, that's how I found you. I can't remember the exact conversation you had or the guest you had, but it was an entrepreneurial topic that actually, I believe it was something I spoke about on a recording that week. Okay. So I think that's what caught me.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your podcast and what it's all about and how you started it.
Definitely. Yeah. So Discipline to Win, that's the name of our podcast. Really focused on discipline in all aspects of life. So whether it be business, whether it be like exercise, diet, your faith, whatever it is, I think being disciplined in really all aspects of life creates good outcomes. That's my personal experience. That's our personal experience. So we talk a lot about that. We have a lot of business owners on. Even outside of business owners, we have a lot of just interesting individuals that have utilized discipline in their day-to-day life, and it has led them to great things. So that's kind of our goal, is to spread that to people, because I think you can really accomplish anything with discipline. The motivation will always come and go. I wake up some days and I'm jumping out of bed, and other days it's like, man, I got to go like get the work done. And really what separates the person from that is like, are you disciplined or not? Like, can you do it on the days that suck, or can you do it on the days that you're tired? That's where you really separate yourself. Because if you only did it on the days that you're motivated, I mean, anybody can do that. Everyone feels motivation from time to time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really centered around that. That's the center of our business, center around all of our people. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we are, what our identity is.
And it's insane how much podcasting helps your business.
Yeah.
Have you gotten clients, or, I mean, overall it helps marketing, SEO, all of that. Have you have any successful stories on that?
Not as much from like, we're more focused on like the networking aspect.
Yeah.
We've met a ton of great people from like a mentor standpoint, ton of great people that have led us to connections that have created a ton of business for us. Not as much direct, like we're not on here selling anything. We don't sell courses or sell product or anything like that. We just truly are on sharing our message, seeing if others have similar, I guess, thoughts or similar just viewpoints on life or on business. And from there, we've connected with a lot of amazing people that's led, to many doors opening, which has been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people, podcasting is a job and it's work. But selfishly, I love podcasting because of the networking side of it. It's insane of how much, because most of these people I have not met. Most of them are out of the country. But people like you that are in Pittsburgh, we probably would not have crossed paths because I'm in the design industry, you're in finance industry. But that's the most beautiful thing, having networks outside of your industry.
It's awesome.
And how else would you do it?
I really don't know how you would. Because even like back then, you go to a conference for your industry and you meet a lot of people in your industry, but it's like, you're not just going to go to like random industry conferences, like, and meet other people from other industries. So it's truly like, it's incredible what social media has done for connecting people. There's a lot of people obviously that hate on social media. I think there's a lot of bad things about social media for sure, but like the positive things I think are really, really positive. And it's like, if used correctly, it can really shape a lot of great things for people. It's helped me a lot. A lot of the people that I follow have influenced me. And that's been awesome. And I hope to be some like that for somebody else as well. Somebody that needs to hear that clip, whatever it may be.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 160 with Nick Frazetta. I apologize. There were some technical issues at the end, so it kind of cut off what Nick was talking about to promote himself and his social media. So I'm here to give you a shout out. Go and follow Nick at Nick Frazetta on Instagram, on all social medias, LinkedIn, and then also go follow his podcast page, which is called at Discipline to Win. Go listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and go and listen to other episodes on wherever you listen to podcasts. Like, subscribe, review. It's greatly appreciated. But until next time, thank you so much for listening to this podcast.